What's up? Do people still do that? Um, yeah. How is everybody? I was, I was going to go into the whole thing about. Don't know. No, it's just. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Right then, pickups. Um, it's Columbo. So I'm going to do Columbo or a documentary about Steve McQueen. It's on Quest. I was looking for something like Bargain Hunt or what was it on Quest? That thing they have. If anyone's ever seen it, it's just amazing television. It's called How It's Made. They pick loads of sort of random things, like really not random. Like it could be uh, like washers for spark plugs or taps. I think washers doing? Washers for spark plugs. Spark plugs or washers on taps and things like that, or spaghetti or rock or I don't know rockets, and it shows you how they're made. But no, that's not on. There's either that or a Steve McQueen documentary, and I thought, no, it's like trying too hard. I'm trying way too hard. It's like as if I was thinking subliminally. You might be thinking, hey, he's watching a Steve McQueen documentary. Maybe I could get some sort of residual call points from Steve McQueen. In the end, I thought, no, Columbo strikes the right balance, I think. Well, that bloke doesn't. Well, anyway, yeah. Pickups. Woo. I don't know whether or not you would have seen already. I've got some out and about footage. Um, I'm guessing you would have already seen it. If you watched it, I mean, I'm intending to edit it together and upload it first before this. So if you'd have watched it, you would have seen it. Which is generally how things work. If you watch things, you would have seen them. But if you didn't watch it, then you didn't see it. Either way, if I edited, finally got my ass around to editing it, it'll get uploaded for this. So certain things I talk about might little light bulbs might go off and light above your head. Go ping. Oh, yeah, I got it. I get you now. Anyway, but pickups, yeah. It's a decent pile, but the majority is DVDs and films and Blu-rays and things, and so which I'm guessing the vast majority of you have no interest in whatsoever, particularly the stuff I watch. So even if you do think you might be into films and DVDs and what the like, don't get your hopes up, because as you probably know, the sort of stuff I watch is just of no interest to anyone other than me and a few randoms. But you know, yeah. So there's a lot of films and stuff, which obviously a lot of people won't be interested. So I'll do that first. Put a time code in the description box, so you just click on that, and it'll take you to the games bit, which will literally take me about 10 minutes to get through. Because it's just a little pile of stuff, a few sort of stories, but the first is about a pile of about 10 films. A few of them I'd like to talk about. First, it's neither a game or a film. I don't know why I'm talking. I don't know why I'm. Ugh, excuse me. I don't know why I'm showing you this. It's not something that I've ever shown. Or maybe I don't know actually. Maybe last year there was something that I don't think I ever showed it. Did I ever show it? It featured in a video specifically. I got to about nearly 6 minutes. I haven't actually said anything, but anyway, I was out and about, and as it is with me, I see stuff. I go, about that, and don't put your hand in front of the microwave. Don't put your hand in the mic. Don't put your head in the microwave. Don't put your hand in front of the microphone. Don't put your head in the oven. I've been watching The Walking Dead. I've watched the first of the last series, or the new series, but before that I was trying to catch up. I only got about as far as the end of series 4, and I'm in series 5 now. So I'm going to keep watching that until I'm caught up. But I'll start watching it. It's funny how that sort of thing, you look forward to it, and when it comes around, you wonder why you watch it. But you have to watch it. You're compelled to watch it, and everything in your head is going, just turn it off, don't watch it, and it leaves you with like a really horrible feeling in the middle of your stomach, in your chest afterwards. It's like if football fans might get this. It's like being a football fan and having a real close attachment to a football team. And you really look forward to their matches, even though you've got a sneaking feeling they're going to get embarrassed and trounced, and it just ruins your day afterwards. But then you still look forward to the next one. It's a bit like that, but worse in a way. I saw it referred to as torture porn, but I don't think it was, because torture porn, those things like the Saw films, you don't have much of an attachment to the characters, do you? But with The Walking Dead, you do have an attachment to the characters, and generally the ones still around are the ones you like. So anyone's going to be missed, and it was just oh no. I'm trying not to give anything away for anyone who's not seen it, but it did leave me with this feeling of why do I watch it? But anyway, yeah. I digressed, didn't I say? I saw this. It's like, what the fuck is that? It's a big board game. It's a big board game called Kingmaker, the game of the Wars of the Roses. This was in 1968, I think. I saw it in a charity shop. It was taped up, so I couldn't look inside. And it said £2 on it. I had no idea. And I thought, old board games, pretty geeky, that might be worth having. But I left it. It's only £2. I could have taken a gamble, but I just couldn't be asked to carry it around. One of those things. And I looked it up later on. And one of them recently, I think a few, that's the oldest one, by the way. There's one from about the mid-70s, which is slightly cheaper. But that one, I think they'd been selling for sort of between 40 and 60 quid. I thought, shit, it was only £2. So I went back and nabbed it. And it turns out, looking inside, it's not been used. It's a bit obviously old. It's got mildew on it, and the board comes in like a jigsaw pieces. You have to sort of fit them together to play. And because they're all individual bits, they're all slightly curvy because they're really old. But, yeah. It's really, really, really geeky. Step into England's glorious, if bloody, past. It is the 15th century, and the mad King Henry VI sits upon the throne of England. Rival claimants to his throne fight for power, and behind them are the barons of England. In control of one of the baronial factions is you. Cunning, determination, and plain good fortune are needed for you to place your claimant securely on the throne and call yourself the Kingmaker. Oh, Jesus. It's just... The term Kingmaker was a nickname applied to Richard Neville, Earl of Warwick, whose political skill enabled him to have a critical influence on events of almost 2 decades. So... Right. Films. The first one I can just whiz through. It's called Leviathan. This is the first of the films that people go, what the fuck is that? It's a Russian film. It's by a guy called... Now, if anybody knows Russian pronunciation, I apologise if this is butchering it, but it's Andrei Zvagintsev. Zvyagintsev. And it's about a dodgy town mayor who tries to grab the land of a hero, and he employs a lawyer to stop this dodgy mayor, and that gets him into a whole world of shit. Apparently, I've not seen it. It's maybe I sensationalised it slightly more than it would actually be if you fancied giving it a go purely on the basis of what I've just said. Take that with a pinch of salt. But I've seen one of the guy's earlier films, Andrei's, I won't say his second name, Zvyagintsev, called The Return. I think there's another film, some shitty film called The Return. It's not that. It's a different film called The Return, which is really good, about 2 boys who get taken on on holiday, like an event sort of. I think they go camping with their estranged dad. And purely on the basis of that film, I thought, and I heard this has got a really good reputation. I fancy giving it a go. It was only £1. The only downside, it's got a sort of water-damaged sleeve, which... Anyway. Also for £1. It's a bit of... I do... There are subconscious themes in a lot of what I buy. And you might say there's a bit of a theme with some of these. Maybe, I don't know. Itchy the Killer. I was out and about in a charity shop, and this is a film I've always wanted to see because I really like Takashi Miike, spelled Miike. I never know how to pronounce that. I love his films. One of my favourites in recent years was 13 Assassins. If you've not seen it, it's bloody amazing. And he's really interesting filmmaker because he's really prolific, but makes films in so many different styles, just random stuff. A film called Happiness of Katakuris. Judging by the back of the film on the sleeve, you'd think it was a zombie film. It's not. It's a musical, and I watched it, and it was like, okay. So I'm a big fan, and Audition's another one, and a few others, loads of others, some really good ones. I've swerved this in the past purely because of its reputation. It's supposed to be pretty bloody, and just... But again, on the basis of the filmmaker and his reputation, I thought I should at least give it one go. And this comes with an anime. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the anime. I think it was the film, actually. But yeah, so it was only £1, so I'll give it a crack. This one was weird. From Poundland, of all places. Poundland sell... no, only one. Poundland sell new Blu-Rays for £1, obviously. £1. They never have much of a selection. They always have one or two. Generally, it will be Twilight, but often then it's not Twilight, it's something else. So things worth having, good films. Haywire's one, and a film called Killing Them Softly. Two really good films, totally worth having for £1, brand new. Blu-Rays. And there was a film that Nes Nate, or latterly Nes Nate, now. So my cat's scratching at the door. What? What? Go away. Shut up. She'll be back. Give her 5 minutes. Nes Nate, what used to be called Nes Nate, recommended a film called Sucker Punch, and that was actually on my list. Just one I wanted to try out, and I had seen it in Poundland, the Blu-ray, for £1, and I've been checking like ever since. Nes Nate recommended it, but I've not seen it there, even though I had seen it in the past. But then I saw this, I thought, what the hell is that? Because I saw the spine. I thought, hang on, that looks like a massive rip-off of a recent film, and I think when I show you it, you'll be able to work out what it is. Well, the film's obviously called Badland, but typeface, subheading, cast, like Nicholas Hoult, typeface, and yeah. Well, it's obviously they're trying to tap into the recent Mad Max film, which obviously killed this film. I took a punt on it because it was only £1, but also because it's got Michael Shannon in it, and Michael Shannon, as far as I can see, doesn't do anything bad, doesn't make any bad films. I didn't even know he was in Man of Steel. I've still not seen Man of Steel, but then I did see Batman vs Superman and saw his dead body in it. So hang on, he must have been in Man of Steel, and I didn't realise. Yeah, it was weird. I was watching Batman vs Superman. I thought, why the fuck is Kevin Costner at the top of a mountain? But anyway, yeah. So I took a punt on this, and it turns out it might be quite good. It looks like one of these sort of near future sci-fis where apparently water is at a premium. Water's running out, and he's a farmer who's trying to revive his crops or his land, and struggling. And his daughter's boyfriend, played by Nicholas Hoult, is trying to rip him off of this land for whatever reason, because I think he thought it was ripped off from him in the first place. I booted her out. But yeah, so I took a punt on it because it's sort of, I like the sound of the setup, and it's sort of one of these low budget sci-fis that uses clever use of CGI, like interwoven with live action, generally. CGI robots and stuff can make something look quite interesting, and I thought I took a punt on it, and it just purely it caught my eye because of this. I thought it was like a dodgy rip-off of Mad Max. Spat on the screen, as I usually do. Like in the whenever there's a successful action film, there's always multiple rip-offs, like Snakes on a Train. People hope that you'll mistake one for the other. Apparently in the US, it's called Young Ones. The Young Ones, which obviously it couldn't be called The Young Ones in the UK for multiple reasons. That would be even more confusing. So it's probably one of the reasons why it sort of disappeared without a trace, even though I'm a big fan of Michael Shannon. And it cost me £1. And I looked on CEX. If I want to trade it in, I can get my £1 back. But this is taking a long time. an upgrade in between us two. I watched this recently. That line, the a wobble bob bob line, cracks me up. Consistently, it's just such a strange thing. Just I can't help it, but it really makes me laugh. That was £1 in a charity shop, and it came with this 2 Blu-Rays in a charity shop. This one also slightly dodgy sleeve, but apart from that, Dark City. I've got the DVD. I really like the film. I've got the DVD, but apparently the DVD is not the best cut. This is the best cut. And I think when I got the DVD, I think I saw. Is it horrible reviews, or one of the YouTube film reviewers, or some sort of YouTube film channel made mention of the fact that the DVD release is not the definitive cut, and this is. And so I looked it up, and this was not really expensive, but at the same time not peanuts. I don't like to pay too much for my films because I'm cheap. And it's sort of about 7 to 10 quid, or maybe probably £5, if you're lucky, on eBay. I thought, oh God! But then it was £1 in a charity shop, so this is just as a good upgrade. Right, now we're into the weird stuff. Going back to horrible reviews, one of my favourite YouTube film reviewers, or actually the only one I watch, because some of them are just either just idiotic and boorish, like that Flickster twat, who, in all his thumbnails, he looks like he's having a really tough poo. Bright red face, if you know what I mean. Or they're all sort of a bit smug and like, I can't remember. There's a few of them, but horrible review. I can't say it. Horrible reviews. I don't know what his name is. He's from Holland. Really like his stuff, even though he didn't like Snowpiercer, which I had to question his judgment with that one, because I love Snowpiercer. But this one is one of his favourite films. It's called Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. It's a Czech film from the 70s, I think. 1970. It's a weird one. It's a surreal horror fairy tale of sort of a teenage girl and sexual awakenings. Lots of surrealism and Freudian symbolism, and apparently it's one of his favourite films. And I saw it in a charity shop, and it was only $1.25. And I thought, no, I've got to have a punt on that. So look up the trailer of Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. It's interesting. Now, a film that as soon as I heard about it, this was a no-brainer for me. I'm a bit of a slightly masochistic when it comes to, not often, but sometimes. I've got a masochistic streak when it comes to watching films. I like the challenge, and this, as far as I'd heard, was a bit of a challenge. It had been referred to by some people as I think it was that Robbie Collin guy. I think he was taking the place of Mark Commode. He reviewed it with Edith Bowman on the Radio 1 film slot, and he said it was one of the most significant film releases in recent years. I think it was 6 years in the making, and then the filmmaker died, the director died, and his son edited it together. They had just hundreds of hours of footage or something. Maybe that's a slight exaggeration. It's just lots of hours of footage, and it was edited together and finally released, I think it was a few years ago, into a film that is challenging to say the least, and maybe not immediately accessible or easy to understand. It's a sci-fi. It's Russian. It's called Hard to Be a God. I wanted the Blu-ray, and I saw this in HMV, and it was I think I might do this in 2 bits actually. I'm going to do film pickup, so I've only got 3 more after this, so I'll just split that up with the games. Otherwise, I'm going to be here all day. But anyway, Hard to Be a God. It was in HMV for £8 Blu-ray, which is oddly more expensive than the DVD. So I thought, and it was one on my list. I couldn't really afford it though. You know, I wasn't in a situation where I could go and sort of buy random DVD Blu-rays, but it's a sci-fi, black and white, 3 hours long in Russian. So that's what you're dealing with. It's a sci-fi about a planet. It's a planet not unlike Earth. It's sort of stuck in along its evolutionary route. It's just stuck in the dark ages of, you know, well, yeah, imagine it's sort of like in this medieval era of, you know, things like witch hunts and, you know, warring factions and feudal states, things like that, torture, all that sort of thing. And the plot goes that there's a group of scientists, or at least an astronaut, who's sent to this planet to at least observe, or to almost like as a catalyst to try and kickstart it on its continuing evolution, because it's, as I said, it's stuck. And I think it's sort of metaphor. It's a metaphor. I mean, obviously, coming out of Russia, you sort of understand where it's come from. But it gets to the point where she's supposed to do it. Supposed to do it on sort of surreptitiously, so to speak, without making it overt that that's what their intentions are. But it gets to a point where all of the intellectuals, the teachers, all of the people that they start being, they're arrested and sort of tortured and then sort of executed and things like that. It gets to that point because the population are quite happy living in this sort of state of ignorance that they start to distrust all of these people with the ideas. So that's the film, and it's supposed to be quite. It goes off at weird tangents. Dialogue isn't the term non sequitur. Is that right? Did I use that in the right the right context? I don't know. They're all non sequiturs. I don't know if that's right or not. I don't know. But anyway, and I heard it's a tough watch, and I thought the idea of it being a tough watch. Thought I like the sound of that, and it's an 18. All random stuff happens, random horrific things, just people being tortured and whatever. I thought that sounds brilliant. 3 more. Yeah, if I do the games as well, we'll be here for donkey's years. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I'll try and do these quick. Blue Ruin. Last year I saw 2 years ago. No, last year I saw the film Green Room. Loved it. I went to the cinema to watch it. Not quite a horror film, but has a sort of a horror feel of it, sort of that horror rhythm. This was by the same guy. This is his second film. I think Green Room was his third film. And I bought this purely on the basis of enjoying Green Room so much. And even though I did know this had a good reputation, but enjoying Green Room elevated this above where it had been otherwise. Got this from CEX on credit. I used my credit out online for the first time, and I used it all bar 40p. So now I've just got 40p email knocking around. I don't know how to use it. I'm going to have to print it off. I can't remember the last time I printed anything off. I think I might be able to use it if... I'm guessing it might be on my account if I ever use my card. I don't know. I'll have to ask them next time I'm in there. But it's a revenge, really low budget revenge thriller, and it's supposed to be really good. One I have seen, I actually saw on YouTube. I saw a dodgy upload. It was in English. It had Spanish subtitles, and I'd heard its reputation. I thought that's another one I really want to see. There's a scene in this that you could quite happily see in a particularly extreme episode of The Walking Dead. Anybody who's seen this film will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a western, but it's a western with other ideas. I won't strictly say it's a horror film, but it's a western that takes a different angle at some point. I mean, comparable to something like The Searchers, the classic Searchers. It's that American Indians, Native Americans, kidnap this man's wife and a group of 4, including the great Kurt Russell, who's just one of my favourite actors, I think. It's rare that he does. I mean, I liked Death Proof. I know a lot of people didn't, but I liked Death Proof. I think this comes straight, maybe directly after he did Hateful Eight. I don't know. I've not seen that one, but yeah, they go off to try and rescue this man's wife, having had prior warning as to what they were dealing with this tribe of Native Americans. They had prior warning from the guy who was Hansi from is it Hansi? Yeah, from the last series of Fargo. Yeah. There's a scene in this. There's a couple of just totally memorable scenes. One in particular, I like the subtlety of it. There's a little stopwatch, a little watch with a little 30-second timer. The film pauses, or all you can hear is the 30 seconds ticking round. It's just one of the tensest things I've seen in recent years. It's just terrifying. But yeah. One of the best things about this film is the sound effects. Anyway, you go, oh. But if anyone's seen this, I really want to hear what they thought of it, because I loved it. And this was another one that came with CEX credit. I bought a few things you might have seen in my last video. Depends, as I mentioned, depends when I uploaded it. I don't know when I'm going to do that. Probably would have uploaded it. You might have seen, if I had uploaded it, or the out and about footage. What did I get? I bought some. There was another copy of Animal Crossing on the DS. I saw it in a charity shop and left it, and then went back a week later and it's still there. And it was only £1 and it was worth about £8 in CEX. So I built up credit. I've gone what else I traded in. I traded in some quite good stuff, but that was the only one that springs to mind. And got those two with it, and something else that if I do continue on with this video, you'll see later. If I don't, then it will be in another video. But this was from CEX online, but not with credit. This was a film I really wanted to see. It's by a French guy. It's an animation from the early 80s, I think, with obvious inspiration from Star Wars. It's by a guy called René Laloux. In English, it's called Time Masters, but this is the French version. It's called Le Maître du Temps, which means Time Masters. The Time Masters, there you go. This was actually a really uncommon DVD, and cost me £8 with £2.50 on the top, because I didn't spread it out. I just got this on its own. Turned up in really nice nick, which I'm really chuffed with. But these are really uncommon, and this will cost you about £20 on eBay. There's another one by the same guy called Gandahar, which is even more uncommon. But yeah, I had this credit and I'd saved it up. I ended up using it on this and something else. But then this turned up and I was thinking, oh, you bloody twat, if you just held off for like a couple of days, you could have had this. But in the end, I ended up buying it anyway. But it's comparable to, I would compare René Laloux. This was, I think the artwork and the animation was done in collaboration with Moebius. If anybody knows Moebius, not Moby, I think it's Moby. Moebius is an artist and animator who creates these just mind-blowing sci-fi images. Gandahar particularly, and this, you could compare it to. I wouldn't be surprised if the people who made No Man's Sky were fans. It's that sort of surreal, really nicely realised, rich sci-fi worlds. It's about this little kid who's with his dad. They're driving along this alien world, this alien landscape, and they've just been attacked by these mutant hornets, and they're trying to get away. They crash in this car, and the dad dies. But before he dies, he sends his son off with this little microphone into the wilderness, and he's also sent out a distress call to his friend, this guy, to come and rescue his son, whose friend's over the other side of the universe. So that's the film. It's quality of animation-wise, it started to show its age, but the level of imagination is just, wow, it's mind-blowing. It's comparable, like I said, comparable to anything you see on Ghibli films. I didn't actually say it, I thought I had, but comparable to Ghibli films, Miyazaki, anything that he'd ever done. And I think the most you might have seen, the most accessible or film from René Laloux is called Fantastic Planet, but that's Fantastic Planet's maybe a bit trippier, a bit more of an LSD trip. This one, they're all pretty trippy, if I'm honest, but slightly trippier than Studio Ghibli films, but just as well realised. But yeah, that cost me £8. Fuck it, let's do the games as well. Otherwise, Right, hello to anybody who skipped forward. I'm going to whisper these. I thought this was a DVD when I bought it. It was 50p outside a charity shop. A lot of charity shops near me have started sort of having bargain bins outside. And I saw this. I saw the sign and thought, is that New Super Mario Brothers? No, it's not, obviously. It's just this. And I thought it was a DVD for some reason. It's not. It's an audio. It's an audio CD of sound effects and weird stuff and just music. But yeah. It's only 50p, and I bought it thinking it was a DVD. It's not. But didn't that come with the 25th anniversary the pack, the double pack with thing in the cardboard, didn't it? I don't know. I thought I might as well get it just in case. I can never get one missed. I don't know. Anyway, to play with my niece when she comes round, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I think this was £1.50 or something. Can't remember. £2. There you go, £2. Because, as I've mentioned before, she likes playing games when she comes around. She goes, I can't play games. She likes playing, we played Super Mario Kart Wii, and she wanted to play the game. She wanted to play the game where you pop balloons. You play the pop balloons. You play the game, you pop balloons. And she didn't think it was Mario Kart Wii. She thought it was Sonic Racing. But it wasn't. It was Mario Kart Wii. But, so this is easy. This should be easier. Just generally waggling. Bit of a boob. This one. What did I can't pay to this? I think it was £1, but bit of a boob. Not immediately a game that I would I don't have too many of these. I think before I bought this, I'd played through Medal of Honor, and a bit too cheesy, dull and conservative for my liking, a bit too politically naive. It didn't really have a sort of awareness. It wasn't. It was too too much of a flag waver, and that's not what I'm into. I need things that are more sort of even open-minded, and that was sort of closed. And too conservative, too black and white. I'm hoping this is different, but what it did, I played all the way through it. I'll give it that. It did hold my attention that much, but what it did do is ignite my sort of this little thing I've got for FPSs, and I thought I fancy another FPS. So I thought hopefully this one might be as slightly storyline wise slightly better. As I think as a few people say, when it comes to me in FPSs, it's all about the single player because I'll never play online. Actually, the copy of Animal Crossing that I mentioned that I'd bought and traded in, so having passed in it and gone back a week later. When I originally saw it, I saw it this, but I didn't have enough cash for me, and all I could, it was just this was $2.75 in a charity shop. I had to choose between the two because I already had Animal Crossing. I just went with this because it was not one I had, and this is in really nice nick. But I've had a few copies of this, but on the PS3, and this will be a keeper. I've traded those in, so this is a keeper. So, well, it's £3,500. I'm not going to talk about anything, say anything about those. Not so much an upgrade, more of a sideward step. This Beautiful Joe 2, Beautiful Joe. I bought Beautiful Joe 2 on the PS2 from CEX a few months ago, and I had the original Beautiful Joe on GameCube. For some reason I didn't really want one on, the two on different formats, and I thought it'd be easier for me to get this than it would be for me to get Beautiful Joe 2 on the GameCube. So in the end, I traded in my GameCube Beautiful Joe, and so now I've got the 1 and 2 on the PS2. Yeah. I hear this has a few extras over the GameCube version, so that's another thing in its favour. And it's only 99p. It was in the sale in a charity in Oxfam. So, but in this new case, other than that, it's pretty dandy. Yeah. Not more to say. Now on to a couple of. This is probably my best charity shop find in recent weeks. Obscure 2. Yeah, for £1.50. That was in a cancer research. Survival horror games on the PS2 seem to have just all of a sudden gone really collectible. There was a time when it was just a select few, like the good ones, but now they've all gone pretty collectible. Like I forgot. There's a few that. Yeah, they've all got. Put it this way: the majority have gone up in value, and so they're all games I want, but not ones that I'd want to pay too much for. And this one looks interesting. It's like American students in a dorm, and you can control different characters. Actually, this reminds me. This has 2 players. I mean, how many survival horror games are there? We can have 2 players. It's just yeah. Something happens with a dorm, wasn't it? I can't remember. I've not played it yet, but I think one of the best things about this is the quality of the dialogue and the acting. It's awful. It's proper. It's proper original Resident Evil standards. It's getting really dark, isn't it? It's going grainy. I really need all these curtains open, but it's only 4:15. Best find, not in a charity shop, but generally. This is a weird story. Going back, I would go at least 6 months, maybe last year. Went to my local town. They've got a crappy little market. It's actually gone a bit up at sort of bit middle class. They've got rid of all the shitty clothes sellers and fruit stalls. Oh, there's a few of those left, but now they've moved in lots of artisan bakers and world food vendors and things like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, the food's lovely. They've got an Argentinian steak sandwich seller, which I'm yet to try, but it looks lovely. But one of the originals is still there. It used to be a bookseller. There's now a bookseller, but they've just moved over to the side slightly, just pushed to the margins. Generally, it's all books. They've got a little selection of DVDs and CDs. Generally, just a few Blu-Rays and a few games just mixed in. Going back, like I said, maybe last year, probably 6 months, but potentially last year. I was there. I think it was only there on Saturdays. I think I was in my local town, saw a game, didn't really know anything about it. Asked the guy how much it was. It's a PSP game, by the way. Asked the guy how much it was. I mean, I should have gone with it really because all the stuff's it's right there. you would have thought, why the fuck did you pass that? But anyway, initially said he thought it was a UMD film, but then he realised it wasn't, and he initially said £1, but then said, oh, actually, it's a £5. I would have gone with £1, but because it's a bit of a gamble. But as a £5, when someone quotes you a £5 for a game you don't really know, it makes you think twice. And I did think twice, but then I looked it up later and regretted it because it's really uncommon American only PSP RPG. Just you twat. It's not one I'd ever seen before. Going back last week. Oh fuck. Going back last week, I was in again in my local town. Saturday, the market was there. Bookseller was there. He's not always there on Saturdays actually. Bookseller was there, and I just thought, I had actually been back. Sorry, I had actually been back to see if that when I saw it was worth having, I'd actually been back to see if it's still there, but it had gone. But that was sort of again last year, just the week after. I think I went back the week after, and now we're back to last week in my local town, and just thought I'd have a look to see if there's anything worth having because, like I said, there's a few Blu-Rays and the odd game. And lo and behold, this game that I thought someone had popped up again. I thought, Jesus, it hadn't actually sold. It just for some reason wasn't there, and the man who runs the store wasn't there. It was his wife was there, and she quoted me £3, so it had gone down £2, and it's called. I nabbed it. Monster Kingdom Jewel Summoner. Now this is uncommon in America. There aren't too many on eBay. And last time I looked, I think it was the Summoner that put me off because I was equating that with sort of Summoner on the PS2, which is a bit of a middle of the road RPG. But no, it's more of a sort of slightly more grown up Pokemon. And I should have gone. I mean, look, it says Atlas on it. Oh, what a twat. And it looks like it uses the same engine as Suikoden 4 and 5 on the PS2. But it's basically like a monster catcher trainer RPG like Pokemon. So yeah, this can go for sort of £40 worth. And it's really nice nick. So I don't know how it was still there, but it was. And with Bone Tomahawk and Blue Ruin, this is the other thing that I got with my credits. It's £18, still credit though. Gradius Collection. I've got Gradius 3, 4, and 5 on the PS2. I don't have 1 and 2, and I don't have Gradius Gaiden. Yeah, so yeah, a bit of a no-brainer. Right, I'm going to let you go before it gets 50 minutes. There's a whole load of shit that I forgot to say, but it's getting dark. It's still only 20 past 4, but my face is illuminated by the screen for some reason. It's all very weird. It looks grainy. I bet when I upload this, it's I'm gonna get that little thing. Would you like us to enhance your video looks a bit dark? Would you like us to enhance it? I go, no, piss off. Or the one where it says your video looks a bit wobbly. Would you like us to even it out? And you go, no, because you know what will happen is it will have that weird sort of trippy sort of like that feeling you get when you've had too much to drink and you're about to puke your guts out. But yeah, right. I'm going to let you go. Thanks for watching. See you later. And thanks for any subs. I don't like not being able to thank you in person, and not many people have the little discussion section on their homepage anymore, do they? No, but anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.